Luffy, Zoro, and Nami hoist the anchor and ride the waves in the Netflix adaptation of One Piece. Luffy's backstory: the man in the straw hat. The episode opens with a young Luffy, portrayed by Colton Osorio, sticking to his dream of becoming a pirate. He's practicing his gum-gum pistol in Windmill Village. The bar owner, Makino, advises him that being different might make people afraid of him. She also gives him a heads up that devil fruit powers come with a cost. Those who eat them lose the ability to swim and become powerless in seawater. This drawback could be a significant hurdle for someone aiming to live their life at sea. But Luffy doesn't let that discourage him for a moment, and when Shanks, played by Peter Gadiote, shows up at Makino's bar, Luffy seizes the opportunity and once again asks Shanks if he can join his crew. Shanks doesn't give a direct answer, but his crew unintentionally spills the beans that they are about to leave the village and set sail in search of the One Piece with no plans of returning. Not a crew bonding together. In the present day, Nami is still hard at work, attempting to crack the safe that holds the precious map to the Grand Line. Meanwhile, Luffy keeps annoying her relentlessly, testing her patience to the limit. At one point, she reaches her breaking point and tries to toss Luffy's iconic straw hat overboard, causing a rare crack in Luffy's usually sunny optimism. All this chit-chat is getting on Zoro's nerves, as he's attempting to catch a quick nap. Oddly enough, despite their protests to the contrary, it's becoming evident that this mismatched group is starting to form a genuine bond. Just when they manage to retrieve the map from the safe, it becomes clear that Luffy doesn't actually know where the Grand Line is on the map. Nami steps in and provides a straightforward explanation of the world's geography, not just for Luffy and Zoro, but also for the audience. Nami remains skeptical about the existence of the fabled treasure, but Luffy doesn't get much of a chance to convince her otherwise. Out of the blue, bright red smoke bombs descend onto the ship's deck, knocking them all unconscious. Captivity and confrontation. Waking up in a small crate, the three of them find themselves without any of their belongings except for the map that Luffy had consumed. Zoro and Nami suspect that the Marines might be the ones behind their capture. However, Luffy corrects them, insisting that it's not the Marines but a band of pirates who have taken them hostage. Zoro, ever the tough one, finds a silver lining in this situation, suggesting that dealing with pirates is an improvement because they lack the training and discipline of the Marines, making them easier to handle. Luffy, however, remains undeterred. He believes they can reason with their captors, as they're all pirates at heart. No amount of Nami telling him that he's not really a pirate can give Luffy imposter syndrome. Their curiosity is about to be satisfied as the crate suddenly bursts open, revealing that they are sitting in the middle of a literal circus and are surrounded by a terrified and tearful audience. Their curiosity is short-lived as Buggy the clown makes an entrance, clearly displeased with their performance in the circus. He's not just angry, but immediately gets irritated when only Luffy recognizes him, despite getting his name wrong. A simple misunderstanding about Buggy's distinctive nose sets him off into a fit of rage. It's safe to say that among all the villains they've encountered so far and will encounter in this season, Buggy is probably the least emotionally stable. Ward's portrayal of Buggy is a standout performance. He seamlessly switches between being hilarious and terrifying in the blink of an eye, keeping both the audience and the characters on their toes, never quite sure what to make of this unpredictable character. Buggy's real problem isn't so much that they've managed to snatch the map before he did, but it's the fact that, in his eyes, they are three little nobodies. Luffy takes exception to this and proudly declares that he's not just anybody. He's the future king of the pirates, a line he'll repeat often. While his confidence may seem overblown, Buggy counters with his own claim that he is the most formidable pirate captain in the East Blue, with the fiercest crew to back him up. It's a similar claim to what Alvida made, and we all know how that ended. It seems that having an inflated ego, or at least a healthy dose of self-confidence, might just be the secret to being a successful pirate in the East Blue. Growing tired of the verbal sparring between Luffy and Buggy, Zoro decides to cut through the noise and make his presence known. He boldly reveals his identity to the crowd and issues a chilling threat. Anyone who doesn't surrender will meet their end. Buggy momentarily shifts his attention to the renowned pirate hunter, intrigued by this new development. However, Nami panics in the midst of this tense situation and comes up with a desperate plan. She offers to provide Buggy with a new circus act in exchange for sparing their lives and foregoing the map. In her clever maneuver, she tricks Luffy into revealing his unique powers. As Nami attempts to make her escape out of the big top and into the village, the true extent of the devastation becomes evident. Buggy and his crew have completely leveled the once thriving village, but her escape is short-lived as she is swiftly apprehended and realizes that the audience is comprised of nothing but captive townspeople. Buggy decides to take control of the situation. He orders Zoro and Nami to be hauled off to the green room while keeping Luffy in the ring to extract information about the map's whereabouts. Koby's encounter with Garp. Back in Shell's Town, Koby, portrayed by Morgan Davies, and Helmeppo, played by Aidan Scott, have successfully been recruited into service and are now present as Vice-Admiral Garp and his right hand makes their grand arrival. Captain Morgan, played by Langley Kirkwood, briefs Vice-Admiral Garp on the chaos caused by the Straw Hat Pirates, adding a few embellishments that Garp doesn't buy for a second. Morgan tries to shift the blame for the escape onto Helmeppo, stating that Koby is the only reason his son survived. This revelation puts Koby squarely in the sights of Vice-Admiral Garp. Koby is summoned to meet with Garp, who had noticed the new recruit acting nervously in the yard. Garp, along with Bogard, confronts Koby, accusing him of being in league with the pirates. This forces Koby to come clean about how he met Luffy, admitting that he had been afraid that telling the truth would prevent him from enlisting. However, Garp's entire demeanor undergoes a transformation when he hears Luffy's name. Instead of reprimanding Koby, he cheerfully suggests that they should work together to track down Luffy. The trio continues to struggle. In the back room of Buggy's circus, Zoro and Nami find themselves in a tight spot, and for the first time, there's no Luffy to act as a mediator. Nami is still reeling from the horror she witnessed in the town, but Zoro doesn't dwell on that for long. Instead, he fixates on how Nami ran out on them initially. They reach an impasse, with Zoro unable to trust someone he perceives as too self-centered, and Nami viewing him as reckless and hypocritical. With no better option, the two reluctantly agree to a truce. Nami reveals a hidden lockpick that she uses to attempt their escape. Just in the nick of time, they're interrupted by the sound of Luffy's screams. However, Luffy's screams aren't of pain. He's actually quite thrilled because his limbs are being stretched out all at once. Buggy, annoyed by Luffy's continued cheerfulness in the face of what's meant to be torture, decides to try a bit of psychoanalysis. He questions Luffy's motives for wanting to be a pirate and suspects that he's trying to impress a mentor, unveiling Buggy's abilities. Buggy accurately guesses the origin of Luffy's straw hat and reveals that he once knew Shanks when they were younger, serving on the same crew. Buggy's reasons for disliking Shanks are rooted in the belief that Shanks kept him out of the spotlight. He wonders if the same thing happened to Luffy. As Buggy's vague fury continues to intensify, Luffy's resilience starts to waver. Luffy remains determined to withstand the torture, but when Buggy threatens to harm one of the children from the town, Luffy reaches his breaking point. With a burst of strength, he breaks free of his bonds and lands a powerful punch right on Buggy's face. However, to everyone's surprise, including the audience, Buggy's head detaches from his body and flies into the crowd. It's a bizarre sight, but this isn't as violent as it appears. Buggy's head is perfectly fine, as is the rest of his body. Thanks to the Chop Chop fruit, Buggy can separate his body into various chunks at will. Buggy decides to employ a new tactic to deal with Luffy, locking him inside a tank that slowly fills with seawater. Realizing that force and reverse psychology have failed, Buggy attempts to recruit Luffy into his crew. Naturally, Luffy refuses the offer. This infuriates Buggy, not just because Luffy refuses to believe that Shanks and his friends abandoned him, but also because Luffy implied that Buggy isn't funny. In response, Buggy tries to hasten Luffy's death by increasing the rate at which the tank fills with seawater. So, what exactly did happen with Luffy and Shanks? In another flashback, we learn about the events that transpired between Luffy and Shanks. Little Luffy becomes upset when Shanks' crew departs, leaving him feeling somewhat reckless. A man named Higuma comes to Makino's bar and starts trouble with the bandits. This situation eventually escalates into violence, prompting Shanks and his crew to intervene. Although they manage to thwart the bandits, Luffy goes missing amidst the commotion. While Shanks and his crew are preoccupied, Higuma takes Luffy to the middle of the water and tells him that no one is coming to save him. However, this turns out to be far from the truth, as Shanks eventually arrives to rescue Luffy. Before Shanks can reach them, a sea beast throws Luffy into the water, causing him to lose all his strength and the ability to swim. Shanks, demonstrating his bravery, banishes the sea creature, but not before it bites off his left arm. After the ordeal, Luffy and Shanks reconcile, and Shanks eventually leaves town. Luffy finally admits that he isn't ready just yet, but vows to assemble a loyal crew to set sail with. Shanks entrusts Luffy with his treasured straw hat before parting ways. The circus showdown. In their daring escape attempt, Nami and Zoro are soon joined by Koby, played by Sven Roygrok. Nami assigns Zoro the task of keeping Koby distracted while she continues to pick the lock on her cage. Zoro, not known for being chatty, opts to taunt Koby, pretending to be disinterested and antagonizing him, particularly regarding the death of his brother. Koby, not one to back down, takes things up a notch. He straps Zoro to a spinning wheel of death and starts throwing daggers at him, forcing Nami to work swiftly. The distraction ultimately pays off as Nami manages to free herself. Zoro, using one of Koby's knives, cuts himself free as well, and the two of them team up to knock Koby out. Working together for the first time, they finally manage to get a smile out of Zoro. With Nami's plan involving taking down any clown they encounter, the two set off on their mission to rescue their captain. Nami and Zoro successfully free Luffy from the tank, and after some intense moments, Luffy finally coughs up the map. However, Buggy is quick to snatch it away before anyone else can get their hands on it. As Luffy recovers on the floor, Nami and Zoro are left to face the chaotic onslaught of Buggy's sliced-up body parts, something they weren't prepared for, as they missed Luffy's earlier display of decapitation. Demonstrating his unwavering loyalty to his friends, Luffy firmly tells Buggy that he can endure personal insults, but he draws the line at threats against his friends. This principle becomes a guiding force throughout the series. Despite the chaos, Nami and Zoro eventually find a way to halt Buggy's rampage by boxing up most of his body parts in individual crates. They successfully rescue the captive townsfolk. While Zoro may have had doubts about trusting Nami, Luffy, without a moment's hesitation, hands over the map to her, surprising the navigator with his complete trust in her. In Shellstown, Vice-Admiral Garp takes the lead in a new campaign to chase down the pirates, accompanied by Koby and Helmeppo's squadron. Captain Morgan, who once held power, has been stripped of his authority. Garp's approach isn't just about targeting material possessions, but rather about taking away the pirates' dreams. Helmeppo appears ready to serve in this mission, but Koby seems to have reservations about his role in all of this. His hesitation is noticeable, hinting at inner conflict. Nami's mysterious call. Back at sea, Nami skillfully repairs the damage done to Luffy's hat. With Luffy and Zoro hanging out on deck, it seems like things are finally settling into place. However, the calm is short-lived, as Nami slips into the ship's cabin and makes a mysterious call using her adorable snail phone. She informs a mysterious him that she has the map in her possession. It appears that Zoro's skepticism about Nami was justified after all. Conclusion. To sum up, the second episode of One Piece's Netflix adaptation continues to unravel the layers of this beloved tale. It delves deeper into the lore, introducing different types of devil fruits, which adds intriguing complexity to the story. Buggy the Clown and his circus bring both entertainment and menace to the scene, hinting at more thrilling encounters to come, just as the original series promises. Shifting focus to Koby and his internal struggles within the Marines is a welcome touch, providing viewers with a closer look at his character's growth. The adaptation does a commendable job in capturing the essence and atmosphere of the original series, keeping the spirit of adventure alive. However, given the constraints of the runtime, some character relationships may feel a bit rushed, leaving us longing for a deeper exploration of the dynamics within the crew, particularly among Nami, Zoro, and Luffy. Nevertheless, the use of flashbacks enriches the narrative by revealing more about the characters' backgrounds. While there may be reservations from longtime fans of the manga and anime due to pacing and character development, this adaptation offers a fresh perspective on the One Piece world. It's an exciting journey that beckons both newcomers and loyal fans to set sail and uncover the treasures and mysteries that lie ahead. Thanks for tuning in. For more One Piece videos, sail with us through the Grand Line. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below.